we do everything anti table of contents. This is episode 23 with Coach Bam and Coach Gail. So Bam, let's talk about the early days for you. The days when you had Primal, what was it?
Primal Movement.
Primal Movement. Mm-hmm. Primal Movement. And I remember seeing you because you had a lion logo.
Yeah. Big old lion.
Yeah, that was what, 10? 9, 10?
No, that was 2018.
Was it 18?
18,
Wow.
17 and 18. Yeah, because then I came out to New Orleans to GLS in 2019.
You must have been a Johnny come lately because, you know, when I was studying the math, once I had the math, I had to go find out who was doing stuff inside the math.
Right.
Yeah. So I stumbled upon like 13, 14, 15, Vivava Fitness, the big, beautiful Nordic guy, GMB, GHT. They were more, it looked like gymnastics on the ground.
Animal flowy kind
Animal
of stuff.
flow. I stumbled upon Movement Naturally, the French guy.
Yep.
He was kind of a strange guy. He would go through the woods and stuff. I liked his stuff. But, you know, I was looking for foot play, better foot play.
Right.
And I stumbled upon the original strength people, which they were good, that Jeff Newport and Tim Anderson, I think it was. Those guys were like, studied that Marianne, Well Balanced Child. Mm-hmm. Marianne something, can't remember her name, but so they turned me on to the Well Balanced Child. And I was like, oh, there's the math.
Yeah.
In the child.
In the child.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh, Petey Gosky talked about the late calling super baby. So I was like, the babies are in too. You know, the babies are in. Because all I had was the indigenous people. Right. Look at this, Matt. Look at his feet. Then the babies were in. I had the multi-decade super athlete. And then, you know, right about the same time, there was early videos from the track and field world championships, the age group world championships. And when I saw Ida Keelan at 100 spinning it, spinning the energy, I was like, ooh.
There it is. That was one of the last.
Helps when you have the life cycle.
Yes.
Because, I mean, most of the times what you'd have to do is you'd have to go through academia and do studies. And you know, those control studies in that very sterile environment, which doesn't meet anything related to reality, becomes biomechanical law. So the way I did it was totally different. I just reverse engineered it. I was like, well, if you're 100 years old and you can move like this without physio tape or braces, it's the same math. Straight foot, back chain dominant, spinning the energy waves. And then there it is in the indigenous communities, and there it is in the 100-year-olds, and then, you know, and there it is in the super late crawling super. See, Petey Gosky knew that there was the late crawling super baby that was the money mover.
Pete knew that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he didn't know why. He called it functional. Oh, because they're more functional. The longer you stay on the ground, the more functional you are. The more functional. Function. What is function? What that is, Sean?
Did you see my functional video? You saw it? The one where I was the functional fitness guy.
Oh, yeah. That was great. So the inherent problem with any word that ends in TION is it's too cloudy. Because even something like external rotation could be just a half a degree.
Right.
Or 360 degrees. So function could be 1/1,000,000th of something. Because it's a cloudy word.
Cloudy words.
Cloudy words create cloudy systems. Cloudy systems create decodes. And that's why academia is so bad for recode or for a coach, a go-to coach to, it's like a cancer. Once that academia gets in your head, once the normalizations get in your head, the isms or the illities, then you end up with stuff like tripod foot, brace to core brace, and spine and chin angle training, 90-90 training. Anything where they'll say that's a piece of the body, pelvic, thoracic relationships, right? Something like that. Femur, quad dominant issues. Anytime you start to say it's that piece or that piece or that piece or this relationship between these two pieces, you can get in a lot of trouble because words themselves don't have enough intelligence to communicate with the kinesthetic intelligence. The kinesthetic intelligence is just so much more brilliant. The feel intelligence is so much more brilliant in this space that it's hard to use a word. It doesn't matter how many syllables it is. It doesn't matter how long it is. It's hard to use a word to describe inside ankle bone high on the landing to Mother Earth in different terrains, because it's 26 bones, 33 joints, a main nerve endings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How are you going to make sense of all that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about function.
Yeah.
Because when I learned about function, it was first in geometry and calculus, mathematics.
Yeah.
F of x.
Yeah.
F of x. And then an x was just this placeholder where you could input any x, y, the function of. That you solve for the function of something.
Yeah.
So in the whole fitness, movement, strength conditioning, PT world, they just say function, but function of what? They'll say, okay, well, this is functional, but that just means that you can apply it to whatever you want. So with GOTA, we've been really diligent in that forward locomotion is what it is. That's where the juice is.
That's where the juice is.
That's where the gold is. So if that's the primary function of the human, in order to come to this sit down, you had to walk to your car, you had to walk into the house, I had to walk and set all this up. Walking, forward movement is the foundation for everything. If I can't do that, then life stops. So if forward movement is our function, then all of our fitness, all of our PT, all of our understanding should be funneled in that direction. If we're going to use the functional word, because then you could just say, me lifting this barbell translates to this is, and you can justify, rationalize just about anything that you're doing in a PT setting or in a gym setting, and it can really take you off in a wrong direction. Yeah. It's very important for us to say, okay, we're moving forward and we're just going to do that
really well.
Really, really well. So
and then everything revolves around that thing.
Yeah.
And that's when you become a money movement player. Mm-hmm. That's when you become I hate to say it, but a 56-year-old guy with 3 degenerative discs who plays golf 3 to 4 days a week. We just finished another 4-sprint triathlon. You know what I'm saying? That's when you become somebody who's looking around saying, all my friends are broken, And they were younger, skinnier, they were lifters. They're broke, and they're all broke. Well, it is what it is.
Yeah. And, we're working in the back end right now on developing some things that are going to give people options. Because there are a lot of people that like the ritual of going to a gym, that like the ritual of exercising, of doing these types of things. Or maybe they don't have that option throughout the day because they're sitting at a desk, they go to the gym. So I've been going back to the gym, and I've been trying to see, okay, if this is an environment that people want to stay in, if they want to do movements and move their body in these ways, how can you do it and still funnel it towards forward locomotion? A lot of stuff that GLS has done, but then on the fitness side, and as I've been in there, for instance, seeing the people on the treadmill and just looking at one guy his right foot was just collapsing, and I'm cringing. I'm doing my Stairmaster both. And he's in front of me, and I'm like, man, you need some help.
You need some help.
2 personal trainers come to meet him. He meets with them every morning.
Yeah.
And they got him doing some leg presses, and I looked down at his feet, and he's here doing leg presses. And then they had him doing step-ups on this little thing with holding dumbbells on his side, and he's stepping up with his right foot. And both of them are holding clipboards, looking at him do the exercises. And I'm like, it doesn't take a lot to say, hey man, can we get this feet straight, and can you step up and step with your glutes? But they're almost so caught up in the whole, have you seen that when the person
I had 2 of them.
They're doing exercises and they're staring at the paper like it's gonna change or something.
When I was trying to get out of back pain, I had 2 of them at that same gym, and it didn't work.
Oh, it probably made it worse.
It didn't work. Yeah, and then in the assessment they had a box for posture.
Oh, they did.
They did. That was like NASM 20 years ago or something. 20 years ago. But yeah, clipboard, this is where you are, this is where we got to go. Well, the challenge is they're trying to help you globally. And what we mean by that is they're trying to make you lose weight a little bit.
Yep.
They're trying to get you, by getting your nutrition right. They're trying to make sure you get a cardiovascular workout to help with the respiratory system, metabolic increase.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're trying to, that thing where, that study that came out that said weight burns more calories.
Right.
So they want you to get a little thicker so that you can increase your metabolism. And then, but you know, if you watch people my age who lifted, all this stuff starts to fall down because it's all fake. You don't really need it. The muscles start to fall down, and then you need to maintenance it even more.
Oh yeah.
So the older you get, the more you gotta, and it's like, man. And then if you quit, the whole thing just falls down. And it's like, man, you really shouldn't have gained all that weight.
No.
Because the best way, and the indigenous people to do it, is they just go out. There's a reason why 10,000 steps is a scientific fact. See, that's one of the things that really they figured out, because the average indigenous male is 7 to 8 miles a day on the walk, jog. The average female is 3 to 4. Well, 10,000 steps a day is 3 to 4 miles.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
But see, I'll clock 10,000.
Yeah.
You know, pretty like on a regular basis. But I can do that without getting on a walk, going on a run.
Yeah.
And I feel personally like the 10,000 isn't enough for me.
Yeah, sure, it's not enough because you're a male. You need to go. You need to go 6 to 7. That's why if you can go 6 to 7, if you can do a 3-mile run every night at a nice slow pace, it doesn't have to be 10-minute miles. It could be 12-minute miles. Mm-hmm. And you eat decent, dude, it's hard to gain weight.
It's hard to feel bad at that
It's hard to feel bad because your metabolic system's just it's just churning.
You get 3 miles. What is that? 30 minutes, around 30 minutes, plus or minus 10 or whatever. That's also 30 minutes of a movement meditation, a reset. Get yourself outside, distract yourself from the phone, distract yourself from the lights and everything, and just kind of
the ancient way.
Yeah,
we've gotten away from the ancient way with these mega gyms, big box, and academia, of course, basically butchered the human energy system.
Right. Well, it's a exogenous external makeup that we've made. We didn't need fitness back in the day. We didn't need exercise. Our life was fitness. Our life was exercise. And then you take away that life and you put us in a sedentary style. Mm-hmm. Well, then you gotta make up something that's going to replace that.
Yeah.
And anything you make up that's going to replace something that naturally should be there, it's never going to meet the mark.
It's never going to meet the mark.
Which is why we say when we make something up, we can't say that is better than how it should be. We have to say we're never going to really truly get back to an indigenous just walking forward all day, squatting, hands in the dirt. So how close can we get? That's the real question, and Yoda's really pushing that message. How close can we?
How close can you get? Mm-hmm. Which is basically what your job is, which is to how do you as the Go to Universe creative director,
right,
mimic those environments inside of the overlapping of modern day society. And what it ends up being is it ends up being a complete brush away. We are fighting to brush the negative stimulus away.
Yes.
That's what we have to do as the Go-To team. Whether it be Rico225.com, the GoToUniverse.com, GoToMovement.com, GoToShop.com. We are fighting the great WOTA stimulus war through our personalities and our life's energy. There's only one other way to do it, which is don't fight it and go buy a bunch of stock in joint replacement company. You might as well make money on what's getting ready to happen.
Oh, it's already happening.
It's already happening to 20-year-olds. Yeah. You know.
Okay, I want to. This is a post that I want to read it, and it kind of matches what we're talking about, which is what we're trying to do is provide some kind of stimulus, a way to brush away what's happening, to get as close as we can to it. And so this is a post from Prepare to Perform on Instagram, and it's titled "Don't Sweat the Technique." It starts by a quote that says, "By concentrating on precision, one arrives at technique. But by concentrating on technique, one does not arrive at precision." That's Bruno Walter. And it says, "We've all learned techniques for accomplishing a wide assortment of physical tasks. Whether it's folding laundry or learning to throw a punch, there are known ways of doing nearly everything that humans can do. What is technique in the first place? How does something become a technique?" We've developed techniques, drop-ins, things, a bunch of different stuff that all of our people have seen online. All of the different go-to techniques. So a technique is a curated group of tasks that lead to a predictable outcome. One could conclude then that the purpose of a technique of any kind is to save energy. Much of the time when we learn a technique, we think that this is the way to do things, but all techniques simply begin as a solution thought up by people to solve a specific problem. Inside ankle bone low, front chain dominance, how do we correct that? We come up with some different techniques. Over time, a broad set of solutions gets boiled down to its heuristic essence, and a way of doing things emerges. GOTA. We now have a reliable and repeatable way to go from A, WOTA, to B, GOTA. Or at least we're developing that. And it says, while techniques do create movement economy, becoming attached to any single technique can reduce adaptability if the rules of the environment shift unexpectedly. This is something that we've talked about, why GOTA has the language of energy movement, because you're on the golf course, I might be on the mats wrestling, somebody's on the football field, a bow on the golf course, a bow on the wrestling mats, and a bow while I'm walking my dog are completely different things. So, for instance, the bow in and of itself cannot be a singular thing, but it's an evolving technique and understanding to solve a specific problem, which is don't collapse to the inside ankle bone low.
Don't violate the math.
Yeah,
don't violate the nature's math.
This is the important one for everyone. GOTA coaches, people. If you understand the purpose and principles of a technique for anything, you can use it without becoming attached to it. Over time, conditions change, environments change, rules change, and so must the technique change. Fractaling.
Correct. Which is when you understand energy, is moving through space, whether it's literally space out there in the great frontier, or it's here in the space on Earth. Energy's moving through space. Then there's other energy out there that's going to prevent it from continuing along, like when a hurricane hits the landmass, or there's a big high coming down. It can't force that energy into that energy, or dissipate, so it moves in another direction. We call that reorganizing the energy. Or when the human body's moving forward, and it makes a cut, and then there's a defensive player there, and it has to make another cut. It's just constantly under reorganization, right? You're right. So the thing about that post is, I would say, how do we reconcile technique and what he calls precision, which I would remove the TION word, and I would say, what are we making precise versus are we making the technique precise? What is his definition of precision? How did he use that language? How did he use that language?
Let's look at that.
I know what he's saying. He's saying be like water, be fluid. Things change. The terrain will change.
Right.
The temperature will change. Everything will change.
Well, for instance, like let's say I'm practicing walking, which is something that anyone on a recode will do. You're going to go practice walking. And maybe on my right side, I can't set a bow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to...
So walking is the technique.
Okay. No. The precision is walking.
The precision.
I'm just trying to fluidly walk, and then I'm going to implement in my walk the technique that I practice with my coach at the gym.
Like blade walking or inside ankle walking.
Blade walking, which is a drill, or maybe like just setting a bow.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to think about setting a bow on my walk, which is now I'm putting a technique inside my precision destination of just the fluidity of walking. So I'm trying to walk better. That's the precision. I'm trying to cut tomatoes. I'm trying to, now I've practiced my cutting technique. Then I need to take my cutting technique and say, but now I'm cutting tomatoes. I'm not just cutting, I'm cutting tomatoes. And that's a very different story versus I'm practicing drop-ins, I'm practicing setting a bow, I'm practicing back chain dominant versus I'm practicing walking, implementing the different techniques that we can introduce people to.
Yeah, I actually like to post because in the end, what we say is you marry yourself to the singularity math because it's the perfect spiral math, but you marry yourself to it so that you can have the requisite variety to do anything, to be anything, to be anywhere, and sort of protect your life force while at the same time enjoying the environment. So it could be that you have to run from a big cat or that you have to dance around the fire, on a Friday night after the hunts have gone well.
Yeah.
Everything's been in it. And that's what the singularity math gives you. It gives you the ability to do that, then wake up in the morning and go for the great hunt, then come back and then help prepare the food, and then dance around the fire, and then sleep like a baby, and then start the process all over again. When you're doing modern day fitness, weight training, whether it be Olympic lifting or anything they created, the 90-90 stuff, your body just starts to talk to yourself in a negative way. And we've been, instead of saying this is kinesthetic this is kinesthetic intelligence telling us that this is a poor way to live your life by training this way. Because we say, hey, there's a way to buffer it with this trigger point therapy, right? Or this mild fascial release, or this ART. Yeah.
Electromagnetic.
I actually like chiropractic the best, even though they failed me, because the ones I had, there was no movement associated to the manipulation.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm going to manipulate you, you're going to feel better. I'm assuming that in the early days, the chiropractors didn't have wrecked people at the foot level. Like, maybe they fell out of a tree or something, or they were in the woods, or they slept wrong, and they just came in, manipulated them, and then they went for a walk, and everything seeded in. Well, that was in the 50s or the 40s. Now you got this train wreck of the human musculoskeletal system. Then you go to a chiropractic, and they're doing their job, which is to manipulate the spine to create a decompressed environment or a neutral environment. Because you're either in convergence or divergence.
Neutral's hard.
Neutral, you're neutral.
Just kind of get you.
And then they go right back into that wreck we call overpressure, right? Undue pressure at some place in the body.
Yeah.
Where we manipulate it and we meander it and we organize it in a way where we take the pressure and we put it in the right spot, and then we release it in the right spots, which is that whole kind of corkscrew thing that we teach.
But this is why you hear that people are on chiro 2-3 times a week for years, and problems still persist. They feel good on the table, they feel good right after, then they walk out, get in their car, and then the things start to kind of come back into their life. I think what is going to happen in the future is that the movement coach is going to step up to be a very solid piece of this entire puzzle, where you have chiros who are doing really good manual therapy adjustments and then immediately going to the movement coach, sending them to the movement coach, or then they put on the hat of them.
Yeah, like Dr. Tarak, Dr. Grisham, Ty Grisham, and then Tony Bernardi. We have like 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but to
say people who really want to heal.
Yeah.
And like, in order for them to come to us and say, hey, we want to give you an investment for us to be movement coaches, when they're already making great money, that's a real healer. Because they really want their people to leave and then refer them some new business. Yeah.
That's what you want. You don't want to see the same people again with the same problems over and over.
No, but that's what happens is that becomes the business model. And man, everybody's going to really need a chiropractor once or twice a week for the rest of their life. This is the business model, and all of a sudden, we're like, well, hold on. The client I'm talking about, I got to drive there, I got to pay a deductible, I've got to drive back home, I've got to. It just kind of robs you of your life energy. Not that I wouldn't mind going to see Dr. Tarak once a week and hanging out with him, maybe working out with him. But I mean, come on. I got things I want to do. I go to the chiropractor.
Yeah, and for a massage therapy, chiro, all of these things can be on the spectrum of let me just clean up my body even more so I could feel even better.
Absolutely. Accelerators is what I call that. Yeah, and chiropractic accelerator,
Yeah.
massage accelerator, Rolfing accelerator, deep tissue accelerator. All this stuff is just accelerators. But you got to know what you're working on first, which is why you need a slow motion video assessment.
Right.
Is why you need a slow motion video assessment, because you got to know what you got to work on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, not that DIY is bad, because we do promote it, because we want people to get started in the math. So if you get started in the math, no matter where you start in our programs,
Yeah.
in the end, what you want to do is you want to hire a great coach, which is also a mentor. And this is the way it's been since the beginning of time. Mentors and elders and shaman and skill disciplines take on under tutors or what they call in Star Wars the Padawan, right? And then you spend 3, 4, 5 years under the pro, all right? And then you become the black belt, and then you become the master, and then you teach the Padawans.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like what we lose in academia, right? You go get a degree, you didn't even work with anybody. All you did was read a bunch of books. You don't even know if the shit works in an uncontrolled environment, which is nature. It's to chaos.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're not healthy. Your clients are not healthy. But, well, you always have the answers in some sort of a healing derivative.
Literature-based, yeah. The process of, I think what you're talking to is the process of mastery, which we've...
Mastery, yeah.
And the process of mastery, you've got to have your hands in the ground, boots there on the ground, hands in the dirt, day in and day out, working it. It has to be both a conceptual understanding, but more importantly, an embodiment. The biggest example for me in my life was the time that I spent learning emergency medicine, and then my time as I was with a field training officer, actually on the ambulance. All those months of me sitting in a chair, learning about biology, learning about all these other things, and then actually going onto the ambulance and performing emergency medicine and dealing with people, dealing with environments, they could not be as more separate from each other. It was very illuminating, and I was pretty frustrated that we spent X amount of time.
Yeah, it's like mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I did all this for nothing. Over here.
Let me get. I got Justin coming in.
Over
Justin,
here.
yeah.
Over here, we just need this.
You want to talk?
Sheesh.
Coach, you got a little bit more time?
Yeah, I got about another 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
What's up,
perfect.
Justin?
Or let's just close it up, man. Let's close it up.
All right. So that's we never did get the BAM story, so maybe we'll do that later. But a little chat up of
What's been going on?
of the just getting to mastery and getting started with GOTA. You just got to start.
Yeah.
Best to get on the ground, own the Caesar position. If you can do that, you're halfway home.
Get back to growth.
Yeah, well, most people can't do it.
I know.
It took me 1 year to do it. Could you imagine 1 year to get in Caesar? You got anything else to say?
Hire a GOTA coach.
Yeah, this was me, Led. This was me in 2009. What's going on?
You couldn't get back there? Ankles, hips, all of it?
Everything.
Everything.
And it's like 10 years with Pete Egoscue, and I couldn't do this. Monumental difference in GOTA and cadaver science derivative-based corrective exercise. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
It's just the way we assess, the way we write regiments, the way we can incubate change in not just the physical body, but in mentally with our coaches. And this is a big plug for GOTA Coaches, which is the institute. It takes really 2 years to be a good coach. 2 years.
2 years.
Then it takes about another 2 years to be a great coach, like a mastery coach. And a lot of times people don't make it, you know. They don't even test out. We got a lot of people not testing out. I don't know if they're afraid. Or a lot of people like, hey, I want to be a GOTA first, which is a problem because then you're a perfectionist. Because people need help.
Yeah.
A lot of people are wrecked. But it is what it is. Like, we got enough momentum now where we're healing so many people. It's stupid.
Well, that was, I came into to go that way. I wanted to learn how to run. I wanted to figure out why I couldn't run, why it didn't feel good.
Could you imagine somebody as beautiful as you can't run? Can't run well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, look, he's young, beautiful. He ain't missing no toes, no fingers. Everything's, you know, he's got everything in the right spot. And it just, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's messy. All the love, Cody.
All right, guys.
I'll give you this back.